Who do the players say is the toughest stadium to play in the Big 12? We're going to answer that question. They have a pretty emphatic answer. And I will tell you if I agree, because I'm about to rank Big 12 stadiums, put them in tiers. Okay. This is what everybody does. Nobody wants to give you a ranking 1 to 10. We do tiers. Shout out to tiermaker.com. So we're about to do the Big 12 stadium tier list where I rank everything by tiers. Now, let me first give you the results from the players. All right. I surveyed about 30 players at Big 12 Media Days, asked them toughest place to play, and an emphatic 13 of them said it is Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah at BYU. 13 for Provo. Okay. Now, I've been to a game there. All right. I have also been to a game at Boone Pickens Stadium at Oklahoma State, which finished second in the player vote with 5. Rice-Eccles Stadium, Utah, that got 3. I have not been to a game there. I have been to plenty of games at Jones AT&T Stadium at Texas Tech. That also got 3 votes. Amon G. Carter at TCU. I've been to multiple games there. It got 2. Jack Trice Stadium, multiple games there. It got 1. I've not been to Mountain America Stadium at Arizona State. It got 1. I have been to games at Folsom Field. It has been a long time, but I've been to games at Folsom Field in the Dan Hawkins era, if that dates it for you. It got 1 vote. Bill Snyder Family Stadium, K-State. I have been to probably hundreds of games by this point there. It got 1. So that's how the players feel. Now let's find out how I feel about all this. All right. I will share my screen here with you, my friends, so that we can start the tier list of Big 12 stadiums. Here we go. All right. We're going to go Arizona first here. All right. Arizona. And I tried to shout out to the logos here, guys. Pay attention to the logos. I didn't want this to be boring. I tried to pick some cool alternate logos as much as I could. And look, Arizona's going in the D tier. My apologies to Arizona fans and Brent Brennan, but I feel like that is only fair right now. I know that the program looked much different at this time last year. I had them in the C tier last year. If you look at the numbers, 36 and 32 in the last decade, but 3 and 4 at home last year and only 1 conference win. Houston was the only conference win for Arizona last year. If the team were better, I understand the environment would be better. If we're doing this relative to the rest of the conference, I think it's only fair. There's not a whole lot of juice for Arizona right now. Now, meanwhile, on the other side, we've got Arizona State. Okay. Arizona State is next up. And this was a really interesting one for me. Like, what do I do with this? Mountain America Stadium was in the C tier last year. I considered C tier here, but I think we got to move the Sun Devils up to the B tier. We got to move the Sun Devils up to the B tier here. They had a great season at home last year. Great season to move up here. A well-earned boost for Mountain America. 6-0 at home. It's a big student body, big alumni base, party school. So look, the students, man, if you give them a reason to make that the party, which last year it turned into, you make that the party, you can get that place pretty loud, pretty rocking. Sleeping Giant vibes, obviously, out there in Tempe. And even last 10 years, 43 and 25, still a pretty solid record there, even though, there's been a lot of bad football and just wonky things happening there for a while. West Virginia, next up on the list. West Virginia. I love this West Virginia logo. West Virginia is a tough place to play. I don't think you're dumb if you would put West Virginia in the S tier. I'm going to leave it A tier for right now. But if the program gets up and rolling, man, Mountaineer fans will make that an S tier environment. One of the things that is tougher about going to Milan Puskar Stadium is that it's such a long trip for most teams in the Big 12. So where this hurts West Virginia a lot of times, the extra wear and tear of travel, I actually think this helps out where other teams have to travel so far to get to you that makes it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and leave West Virginia up there. The record has been good. 45 and 22 the last 10 years. Look, everybody knows it was not great last year. K-State game in particular, pretty bad for the Mountaineers. But look, I've been there when it's a great atmosphere. I was at the 2012 K-State West Virginia game, among many others. 2014 was also a big K-State West Virginia game. Both were phenomenal atmospheres, at least until in the 2012 game, K-State really took them out of it. But I've seen it at its best. It's awesome. I would highly suggest anybody go check out a game there. It's in the A tier. Now, here's one that has it. The Bounce House, I went back and forth, guys. C tier, B tier. What did I want to do with this? I left the Bounce House in the B tier. I feel like I was feeling nice. I was feeling generous, and don't take offense to this, UCF fans. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and pop this thing off here, make it a little easier for you guys to see. Should have done that earlier. Look, UCF did not have a good year last year. We can blame it on Gus. All right. Its reputation in the AAC was a very tough environment to play in. They're 51-19 in the last 10 years there. Last year didn't beat a team with a winning record at home. It was 2 FCS teams in Arizona. That's not good. You got one last shot to stay at least in the B tier in the Bounce House, B tier in the Bounce House, UCF. I'm going to lean on that reputation from the AAC days, okay? Texas Tech. Texas Tech can be a very difficult place to play. I lobbied back and forth between B and A. Kind of just a weird environment, I would say, in Lubbock, but very difficult. Just feels like some weird things have happened at games in Lubbock. I'm going B tier, which is where it was last year, I believe. Let me check that. Yep, Jones AT&T Stadium last year in the B tier. We're going to stay there. The numbers 39-29, which I guess maybe I shouldn't be as surprised by because Tech has been kind of a 500 program. But I would have expected that record to be better. Mixed bag last year, beat Arizona State, which obviously aged very well, but lost to Baylor in Colorado. The Baylor game got 50 balled. Not good last season for Joey McGuire and company, but I have been to like 5 games there. When it's bumping, it's bumping. It can be very loud. It can be a really tough place to play. So let me go ahead and give that love to Jones AT&T Stadium. Next up, check out this logo, Utah fans. You think I'm not nice to you? I gave you the Rose Bowl logo. I gave you the Utah with the roses. I know it was not the greatest of years last year for Utah. Rice-Eccles still belongs up at the top. It's still an S-tier Big 12 stadium. That's still a really tough environment. I am not looking forward to my Cats having to go play there at the end of the year in November. That's going to be tough. Look, I've got a couple quotes from players here. Players voted it second most difficult place to play in the Big, or third most difficult place to play in the Big 12, rather. Utah 32-6 at home in the last 6 years, even with a 2-4 last season. One player who played in it last year said, Utah, yeah, that place was loud. It was so fun. Another player said Utah has a really good fan base. They really pop out, and they're not very mean either. They just really love their team. So some love for the Utah environment. Now, would they have been so loving when BYU was there? I don't know. But speaking of BYU, this is one that has moved from A to S tier. There's no drama about this at all. You guys heard earlier what the players said about it. 13 players picked it as the best atmosphere and environment in the Big 12. I was there for the K-State game. It was insane. It was so loud. Just the amount of resources that BYU has poured into the entire in-game atmosphere. The Cougar is great. The players will back me up on this here in just a moment. But just everything, man. So much attention to detail. The fans are awesome. The backdrop is awesome. And it's loud as hell. It's loud as hell. 5-1 last year at Lavelle Edwards. 49-18 the last 11 years. Listen to what players said about it. Okay, these are all direct quotes from players that I talked to. Quote, BYU at night. That damn Cougar. His ass. Look, he had the damn stadium rocking. I promise you. That was the loudest crowd I've ever played against by far. Great quote from a player. Someone else said, I ain't going to lie, BYU. That crowd and that whole environment was something crazy, honestly. That was pretty cool to see. It's a crazy place to play. Another couple, BYU's atmosphere is crazy for sure. They're fans. They're right there. They're ruthless. And finally, BYU fans don't shut up. I thought that was interesting. We got the comment for being nice for Utah fans, and then one player was like, BYU fans don't shut up. That's a good thing. You want it to be very loud. You want it to be very loud. So congratulations to Lavelle Edwards Stadium moving up this year from my tier rankings last year. Now, what do we do with Nippert? Okay, what do we do with Nip at night? What do we do there? Considered C. I'm going to leave Nippert and Cincy in B. Certainly, if I'm leaving the bounce house there, I think I've got to do it for Nippert. 4-9 the last 2 years since Luke Fickell left. That's not a great mark, but it was 31-1 before that. Okay, and I know that's AAC competition. I have to judge it a little bit differently, but a lot of respect for what Cincy had built up in terms of a home field advantage there. I'm going to keep it in B. It may drop down to C before. Look, might take a coaching change to get it back up into like the A tier, but we'll see. We'll see, Cincinnati fans. For right now, I'm going B. Colorado, very interesting one. Very interesting case study because pre-Deion, I mean, you're talking about Colorado in like a D- tier atmosphere. With Deion right now, if you just in a vacuum, like what these Deion games are like, you're looking at like A or S tier. So I'm going to put it in between at a B tier. These environments are pretty good. I did not make the trip to Colorado this year for the K-State game, but my friends on the beat who were also at BYU said that Colorado was close in terms of the atmosphere and environment for that game because the students, the fans, I mean, it's a party. They show up, celebs on the sideline. It's a tough environment to play in right now. But Colorado before that, it was just dreadful. So it's how much of this is tied to Deion. You don't have this built-up credibility in the stadium because things were so bad for Colorado there for a while. So I'm gonna say they need to stick in B tier for right now, but that's got the chance to keep moving up, man. If Deion sticks around and they keep winning games, Houston, unfortunately, will be the other atmosphere and environment that's in the D tier here. I fully understand, Houston fans. Before you run to the comments, I get it. My Cats lost at Houston last year. I understand. Before you run to the comments, I know. I am aware, but that still is not a very menacing environment. It's got to get better. Houston fans are going to need to consistently fill that more often. Obviously, the team winning would help. But right now, guys, I think we gotta admit that that's a D tier environment. That's where it was last year, even though there were wins over K-State and Utah a season ago, that's progress. That's definitely progress. Iowa State, I love this logo so much. This is probably my favorite logo on the whole thing. Iowa State should just use that all the time. Is it A tier? Is it S tier? Is it A tier? Is it S tier? I went back and forth. We're going to go A. We're going to go A. It's a very good environment right now, but it is not infallible, as evidenced by the fact that Iowa State did lose at home last year to Texas Tech. Probably should have lost to UCF as well. But Matt Campbell's 38-21 at home. He's been pretty good at home. That place gets loud. It's a little bit bigger, sneaky big, pushing like 60K, right, at Jack Trice. So it's pretty loud. It's a difficult place to play. I've been there and experienced it multiple times. Iowa State it's a great fan base. They love the team. And Iowa State fans show up when the team's not performing as well, about as good as anybody. They still made that place loud, even like pre-Matt Campbell, before things were really, really rolling. I feel pretty similarly about the environment at K-State. So I know this Power Cat, I know this is a little bastardized, but it's there. We're going to go with Bill Snyder Family Stadium in the A tier. That's one that you could certainly argue for S. I'm going to keep it in A right now. If you start looking at the numbers, I just don't think it's quite in that same category as Utah or Oklahoma State. But look, K-State has been very good at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. 25-9 at home under Chris Kleiman, 50-22 the last 10 years. There always does seem to be like a head-scratching loss in there, or at least at the time feels head-scratching. Arizona State last year, they got walloped, came back to make it look closer than it was, but they got walloped. Iowa State in the snow in 2023, Tulane, Arkansas State. So it has not been totally infallible. But when it's on, I mean, when Bill Snyder Family Stadium's on, I'd put it up against about anywhere else in the league. Just right now, to me, feels a half tick off from that S tier, which is going to include one other team. It will not be the Kansas Jayhawks, but you know what? For the renovations, I'm going to move David Booth Memorial Stadium up from the D tier to the C tier. Last year was tough. Like, what do Kansas is renovating the place. How are you supposed to rank that? Lance Leipold's been pretty good at home. Last year, I'm not even going to give you the record or count anything that happened last year against them. They were not home games. Lance Leipold playing in this stadium pre-renovation, 10-9. Okay. It's definitely getting a lot better. It's becoming a more tough environment. The fans are starting to show up more. The renovations, I'm sure, will add to a lot of excitement this year. And Kansas could be a big mover. Could definitely see them moving up this year. Oklahoma State in the S tier, the A tier, guys. They were 3-9 last year. Didn't win a Big 12 game. I've got enough respect for Boone Pickens, which back in the old Big 12 days when I was traveling, when it was just 10 teams, I mean, I would have put that right up there against Texas and Oklahoma in terms of environments when it is on. But last year was very, very bad. So I considered strongly moving it out of the S tier. But I'm going to give you a 1-year mulligan. 52-19 in the last decade in Stillwater. Great fan base. Very difficult place to play when it is on. TCU and Baylor are very similar to end here. Not big places, programs that have won at a very high clip at times. So how do you square that? I'm going to put it in the B tier. By the way, look at the Roses logo again there for TCU. Found some cool ones. TCU's record actually surprised me. It was better than I thought, which makes sense at home because they've had some 11-plus win seasons. They're 49-21 at home the last 10 years. Last year, a couple brutal losses, Houston and UCF. That's not good. And like I said, having been there multiple times, it's not overly loud. It's not overly big. What is loud is that like train horn. That's from you used to have to shoot video down on the field, and that train horn scared the bejesus out of me a few times. Anyway, what TCU has going for it. I'm going to read you some player quotes here from my anonymous player survey, the Open for Business Big 12 newsletter, ofbnews.com. The fans are kind of mean. The fans are pretty mean in Fort Worth. Now, I got anecdotal stories the last time, when K-State was there during the Big 12 championship season. Beers thrown on K-State fans. Lots of K-State fans were not very happy with the TCU students here. And here's what a couple players said. One said, I would say TCU because the fans get a little rowdy and a little bit unchristian with their trash talk. They started talking about my parents' names. Then another player said, hecklers at TCU. They just want to get a rise out of you, and sometimes they get you. I don't even think I can repeat the things they say on camera. That's how bad it gets. So TCU mean fans might bump you up a category there into the B tier. And you know what? That's what we're going to do with Baylor too. We're going to finish off with Baylor in the B tier. McLean Stadium, a beautiful facility, absolutely beautiful stadium. Love it, having been there multiple times. They're 41-26 at home the last 10 years, but 5-1 last year. Only loss was to BYU, and they really did push them. It's not a place that, to me, again, gets overly loud, but I have seen it pretty close to its best. Early on, first year of the stadium, right? New and exciting, 2014. College game day was in town for a game against K-State, and it was a night game. I thought that environment was good. So I have seen, I think, the best of McLean Stadium. It can be pretty good. I just don't think it's consistently as loud as some of the others here on this list. So that's where we're going with it. And the record, has still been pretty solid, pretty good for Baylor. So I'm sure you guys all agree 100% across the board with everything I've said here about this one. If by some small, minute chance you don't, please let me know about it in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That all really helps as well. But let me know in the comments what it is that I'm missing here.